Okay, so in the previous video, I already showed you how you can use Ollama LLM model, that is Llama 3.1 in Jupyter Notebook. But we can only ask one question, right? By typing it into the Python code. Now, let's try to develop the code even further by implementing a continuous chat loop. So, a continuous chat loop when using an LLM refers to the process where a conversation is maintained in an ongoing fashion between a user and the model. Instead of just asking the LLM once like we did before, we can ask the LLM multiple questions in one chat session. Rather than typing the question or prompt directly into the Python code, we can input our questions when the chat session is running by using input function. Okay. So let's see how that works in Python code. Here I'm using the code from the previous video, but the difference here is that we put that code into a function called chat with LLM. And then the input is going to be our prompt or our questions. Okay. Next, let's create a function to handle our continuous chat loop feature. So I made a function called interactive chat, and here we set this to always run by using while set to true, and then here we try to get the user input by using input function, and we also add an option to exit the chat loop by typing exit. And here I'm calling the function that we created before to get the LLM response. And then we print the response. Okay, so for now, let's just run this code. Okay, let's run this code. Let's ask some question. What is the capital of Japan? Okay, the capital of Japan is Tokyo. And then what is, oh wait, who is the CEO of Tesla? And we wait a few seconds. And okay, the CEO of Tesla is Elon Musk. And then what is pandas data frame? Okay, we kind of have to wait for a few seconds. Okay, so here's the answer. Here's the LLM response, so we need to wait. And as you can see, the response is in Markdown format. So now let's modify the code to display the responses in Markdown format. Okay, so now we exit the loop. Exit. Okay, so here the code is pretty much the same as before, except that we add from ipython.display import display and markdown. Okay, and here we display the response in markdown format. Okay, here. Okay, so let's just run this code. Run. Let's ask what is numpy array. Okay, and then we still have to wait for the response. Okay, so here as you can see, the response is now displayed in markdown format. Okay, now you can see this is a Python code. Okay, so it works just fine. Now we exit the loop. Okay. Last time, we also implement streaming mode for displaying the response. So let's add that feature. Okay. In this code, we add clear output library, and we also add the parameter stream equals true, and then we yield each chunk as it is generated by using a for loop to iterate and yield to return multiple values over time. So in this case, each chunk of the response. And in the next function, we have a variable to store the entire chat history here. And we add the user input to the chat history. Here we have a variable to handle streaming response and a variable to store the incremental response. Then here we process the stream response by always add the chunks to the current response. We clear output and redisplay it. Then we combine the chat history with the current streaming response. And we display the full chat in Markdown format. And at the end, we also append the final response to the chat history and clear the output one last time to show the updated chat history. Okay, so now let's just run this code. Okay, let's ask what is pandas data frame. Okay, so now as you can see, we successfully implement the streaming response, and the response is also in Markdown format, right? So we don't have to wait for the full response. Okay, exit. Now, the problem here is that LLM usually doesn't have the ability to remember past conversation. It doesn't have memory to remember the previous information, that is, the user questions and the LLM response. So, on the next video, I'll try to create a code so that the LLM have the ability to remember past conversation. Okay, so that's it for this video, and thank you.